We're all fighting something. We're all fighting something. And it could be something in its physical form, but most of the time it's in here and it's up here. So once you break that down, they're fighting themselves. And once we teach them that they're worth, you're worth fighting for.
Yeah.
You're worth the effort.
Welcome to the Business Owner Spotlight by AudateMedia. In this interview show, you will learn how to succeed through other people's stories, challenges that they overcame, and how they are winning in this new economy. You'll learn what to do in your business, what not to do in your business, and how others are succeeding. Tune in every week to discover new stories, new businesses, and new ideas.
Welcome to the Business Owner Spotlight. I'm super excited today because I have my man Donavan Britt, the CEO, the owner of KRAV MAGA Las Vegas. Las Vegas, KRAV MAGA. I'm over here twisting it back and forth. Hey man, thank you so much for being on the show, man.
Thanks. We're good.
So we're super excited to have you on the show and really see that's what it's like being a business owner, man.
Right.
You got your phone buzzing.
All the time.
Text messages coming in,
time.
emails, and so forth.
All the time.
So share with me the story. Well, before we even go to the story of the business, let's tap into the story of you getting into KRAV MAGA and what that actually is. What is KRAV MAGA?
KRAV MAGA is Israeli hand-to-hand combat. It's a military system from Israel. It was created in the 40s. The founder Emi created it to basically keep Jewish people alive during Nazi occupation. And it has made its way to the United States and spread around the world. But the United States was kind of the hub for that in the late 80s, early 90s. A group of people went to Israel and trained with Emi, and Emi would come back and forth. He was much older then, but he would come back and forth and train his students. He had his top students spread out around the world, and KRAV MAGA kind of spread from there. And it being in West LA, Hollywood finally got a piece of it. And
yeah, I'm sure.
We started seeing it in the movies and being referenced in television shows, and that's where its popularity came from.
So it's an ability to defend yourself.
Yeah, no.
Or is it offensive attack?
Well, there's no better defense than offense.
Okay.
Right? So it is not completely defensive in the sense that we don't hit people, as we will. But basically, it's void of rules. It's void of conduct. It's void of Budo and spirituality and all the other stuff that we don't see as necessary in a hand-to-hand combat situation. Someone's trying to attack you. Your life is on the line. You have to be able to stop them, create an opportunity to escape, which is preferable, or incapacitate them, or do enough damage to them to make them stop attacking you.
Okay.
And so to that end, we use whatever tactics are available to us.
So when I personally think of like karate and things of that nature, I think of belts.
Yes.
Is there that system inside KRAV MAGA?
Yeah, no. KRAV MAGA has always had belts. So at some point,
like white, yellow, that.
Yeah, in that refrain. There's actually pictures of Emi, the founder of KRAV MAGA, in full gi. So belts have always been part of KRAV MAGA. In the United States, we got away from it for a while because we didn't want to be kind of confused with the McDojos that were out there.
McDojos?
Yeah, McDojos. Like the Taekwondo schools on every corner, McDojos.
So you don't call it dojos, you call it like McDojos.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
I love that.
That and 9-year-old black belts, right? Like, ridiculous. So yeah, you ain't gonna see that stuff in my school. Like, I'm not a big believer in that. I think it's great. It's a cool after school program, but after you're 9, you probably shouldn't be taking karate or taekwondo. Like, it's ridiculous. 9-year-old black belts. A black belt.
Yeah.
What is a black belt? An expert. What can a 9-year-old be an expert in other than being a 9-year-old? Nothing.
Interesting.
Yeah. So. I'm not a big fan of that kind of stuff. So we call them McDojos.
So I'm assuming you're not from Israel.
No.
So how did you get into the space?
So I was in the Army for 8 years. I was in a unit called PSYOP, Psychological Operations, Special Operations, and we started doing some training. And there was an Israeli unit or a group of guys from Israel that came over, and they were training at the facility that we were in. And I saw them training one morning, and I got there at the tail end of it. Because I've always done martial arts. I've been doing like Filipino martial arts and things like that. So I saw them training, and I was like, I want to come here tomorrow morning and see if they could be here. So I showed up early, and they were there, and I asked them, could I train? Started training. They beat me up, and I was like, this is fun. So I found a place to train in San Francisco, and then I moved to Vegas, and I've been training ever since.
So then you're training, and you're the person that's going to these schools at that point. Like when
I'm a student, at that point.
So in San Fran, you're the student, you're going out and training.
Right.
So at what point does the transition happen to now being an owner of a school?
So I trained under Roger for 5 years.
Roger is the previous owner of your school?
Yeah, Roger D'Onofrio, Professor D'Onofrio. He trained me at his school, and then he asked me to become an instructor. Well, asked me if I was interested in becoming an instructor, and I was like, I guess. Like this was my hobby, so I did it. And then there's a fairly arduous process to become an instructor. We call them phases, so they're multi-phase. They were 7 days long each phase.
And how many phases was it?
4 or 5 phases at that point.
Okay, so you're training for like a month and a month.
No, so you can't train that. The way they train, you can only survive 7 days at a time. It was awful. Like the first 5 days, they don't do nothing but beat you up to see if you're tough enough to be in the room.
So it's like, that just reminds me of like, I don't know if it's like this, but that reminds me of like gangs when you get initiated.
Well,
can you fight back?
I mean, yeah, it's part of the drill, but it's not like they're trying to fight you in that way. It's they're trying to see, A, do you know the technique, but B, do you have the toughness, or what they call retzef in Hebrew. Means retzef, meaning to constantly move forward, to constant warrior spirit.
Oh, okay.
Keep coming, no matter what happens to you, keep coming. So they want to weed out people who don't have that, right?
Is that happening often in the space?
That people weed out?
That people are coming into the space, but they really don't have what it takes to even finish phase one?
Back in the old days when we were doing 7-day phases, yes. That was fairly common. Guys, there was probably about a 15% attrition rate. 15% of the people wouldn't make it.
Gotcha.
And then as you go higher in phases, then
drop off increases?
Because people don't want to go back and continue. They don't want to go back because they know it's going to get worse and worse and worse. Right? So,
gotcha, yeah.
So, but I think we've gotten better about training people now, and not only training instructors, but developing them before we even send them to phase now.
So it sounds like it's highly regulated, or is this just a process that just was tradition?
No, it's well, back then it was more regulated by, it's a military system, so there's that kind of esprit de corps kind of thing. You want to keep a connection to the past in the sense that you don't want people just saying, hey, I'm a Krav Maga instructor. But just like every other martial art, there's multiple organizations now.
Yeah.
And so they all run their thing the way they run it, and it is what it is. And each one of them will say, well, we're the best, we're the best.
So it's very likely that your school, in comparison to another school, whether it's in Las Vegas or whether it's anywhere else in the country.
We're one of the top schools in the world.
But the experience that you had to become an instructor could be different than them?
Sure. No, depending on what organization they're in.
Okay.
And then that's what I said, but that's true for every martial art, right? Like a lot of people think that everyone's created the same, and that's the number one mistake that people make when they're looking for a martial arts school. Well, I want to try the one that's closest to my house, and I always look, why? If you get sick, are you going to go to the doctor that's closest to you or the best one?
Yeah.
If your car breaks down, you're going to go to the mechanic that's closest or the best mechanic?
Yeah.
Right? So people are like, no, I want to go to the best. Okay, then why are you looking at the guy around the corner from your house? You don't know what they're about? Check them out.
Yeah.
Go try their classes. Go look and see. Use the common sense approach. Could that technique work against a bigger, stronger, faster, pissed off person if they're trying to kill them?
Right.
It's that simple. And if you're like, well, I don't know.
So what makes your school the best?
I would say the most unique.
Okay.
I would say because there's a lot of great schools in Las Vegas, right?
Yeah.
There's there's some great MMA schools, great Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu schools, great Muay Thai schools, phenomenal instructors in this city. Honestly, I think we have some of the best instructors in the country right here in this city. So as far as Krav Maga goes, I think what makes us unique is that we have a fight-based mentality in the sense that myself and my other instructors have been in real fights, and we're not just teaching the theory of it. We understand. Unfortunately, I've had a rough upbringing, and I've had some mix-ups on some peanut shell covered bar floors and woken up in the hospital not knowing how I got there, spitting out teeth and all these other things. And those collective experiences between myself and my other instructors, I think, bring an authenticity to what we do that's a little bit different from what the average Krav Maga instructor's been through, because they are fitness-based, or they are what I call dojo instructors. They go to a lot of classes, get a lot of certifications, but they can't fight to save their life. And that's just the truth of it. So people always ask me, well, what's the difference between your school and another school? I'm like, if they invited us to come and spar with them, we would show up. If we said come and spar with us, they're not showing up. And there's a reason why. They know what's going to happen. So we're very confident about that. So.
Understood. So when we look at the community, Krav Maga and what you're doing, this is a community school, right?
Yes.
This is a school for the community.
100%.
When we look at your message, what do you want people to know in the community?
Well, the number one thing, timidity and humility are not the same thing.
Timidity and humility
are not the same thing.
Timidity being timid?
Yeah, being timid. Like someone says that you're timid, that's a really nice way for calling you a coward.
Yeah, okay.
And a lot of people are fostering that in their kids, or that's been fostered to them, it's been taught to them over the years.
Yeah.
And then they think that that's being humble. Like you have to be humble and take an ass whipping. You don't. Like you don't negotiate with bullies.
Yeah.
You don't. Like the way you stop a bully is to beat him up. Like that, there's no negotiating. You can't negotiate with someone who brings a gun to the negotiation. They're not there to negotiate.
Yeah.
They're there to tell you what's what.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think that, we'll just be humble, we'll be kind. Yeah, like I'll be kind and nice to the person until they're not nice to me. And then at that point, we don't have anything to be nice. If I can't extricate myself from the situation, or this person tries to stop me from leaving, I have to have a physical measure against them.
Yeah.
And that's what we teach in Krav Maga, right? Because if I don't stop this bad person, he may go and continue to hurt someone else. So you think about where Krav Maga is from, in Israel. No matter what you're...
It's in the Nazis.
Well, even right now, Israel's surrounded by people and countries who hate them.
Uh-huh.
And some of these people will come into Israel and try to hurt Israelis.
Gotcha.
And if they let that person do that and continue on hurting others, the society's at risk. So the mentality is we need to stop them and stop them now.
So it's not about just protect myself and my body, but it's also about neutralize the risk for other people to be hurt.
Yeah, 100%. And you have a responsibility in that society, in Israel, to look out for each other. Well, I think we have the same responsibility here. Although Americans tend to be a little bit more self-centered, yeah. Definitely more individually centric.
So it's like, now I'm just here to protect me versus...
Yes. Or becomes, so we don't have an indigenous fighting system in the United States. We do not have an indigenous fighting system. That's why guns are so important to the United States. Guns are our primary self-defense tool.
Yeah.
Right? Which I'm not anti-gun. I'm a gun owner. It's fine. But Thailand has an indigenous fighting system in Muay Thai, and the Philippines have several. From a Eskrima to Kina Muay Thai to a bunch of Brazil, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and China, multiple systems of Kung Fu and Karate and all these other things. Africa, multiple systems, right? They have like on the scrolls and on the walls and the pyramids in Africa, you see the writings of fighting systems, them training with sticks or training with spears or training with wrestling, all of these things, right?
Yeah.
America doesn't have that. So we're the youngest of all those countries that I just mentioned, right?
So our defense mechanism is just straight, hey man, kill.
Well, we get a force multiplier, like a weapon, right? To do that. We don't have a tradition of training.
Yeah.
Right? So that's hopefully going to change.
Even gun owners, a lot of gun owners don't train.
99% of them don't.
Yeah.
They buy it, oh good, I bought a gun, I put it on my shelf, and then they don't touch it. Or if they do train, it's not training that's realistic.
Yeah.
Which is another hallmark of Krav Maga. We do realistic training. So meaning that we're going to make you uncomfortable as much as we can. Simple drill. We'll take, inert pepper spray with no sting. Right? It doesn't sting you at all. It doesn't irritate you at all. It just scares people. Spray it in their face, and they freak out, and they say, okay, someone will attack, put them in a choke, and they'll get out of the choke using the defensive we've already taught them. So we believe in high-stress drills. We know that some of their technique is going to fail. We know that they're not going to be as clean and as pretty as you would at a martial arts demonstration.
Yeah.
We know that. You're under stress.
So Krav Maga is like, because I did Kempo but I was a 9-year-old dude. I was a black belt.
You have a black belt?
No. I said white belt for like 2 years.
Right.
But I did Kempo, and I had that experience, and I can see how it's kind of cleaner from that experience. I never got up to black belt, whatever. Sure. But when we look at Krav Maga, is it intentionally supposed to be like that dirtier, like really stressful situation?
Yeah.
And it's designed that way ahead of time, or that's just your school?
No, that's Krav Maga. If it's being taught properly, it should be a bigger, stronger, faster attacker attacking the smallest person in the room and not cooperating with their defense. The problem with traditional martial art is this guy will throw a punch, I will block it. He'll throw another punch, I will block it. But fights don't happen that way.
Yeah.
Attacks don't happen that way. So what does a person do if a real punch comes at them full speed and they're not ready for it?
Yeah.
But they've never trained it. In jiu-jitsu, most jiu-jitsu schools, they'll roll. They do gi jiu-jitsu. They're playing by the rules because they're, ready for a tournament. But when's the last time someone slid a training knife out on the floor while they were rolling, and anyone can grab it? Either the person on the bottom, the person on top. I said,
Or
now
even
can
an
you
outside element coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. Another person coming into a fight. Like even in my kids' fight class. By the way, another thing that's different at my school, we are an adult school that has a kids program. We're not a kids school.
Okay.
And there's a big difference, right? But our kids are inoculated to fighting. My teenagers, particularly, have been training with me since they were 10 or 11 years old. These kids are 15 or 16 now. I put them in the adult fight class, and they more than handle their business. The adults don't like fighting them because they're not afraid and they're highly skilled. They fight every single week, right?
So let me ask you this: why Krav Maga? As far as the business standpoint, I understand why from the protection and defensive, but why from the business? Out of all the things you could do, shoot, for all I know, you could open up a marketing company, you could create a software company, you could go into a whole nother world. Why this?
I was in other businesses. I had.
What other businesses were you?
Real estate. I've owned smoothie bars. Consulting. I've done security. I've done, you name it. I've done it.
Word.
Krav Maga is.
Is it like a fulfillment that you have, or is this?
It's a passion. It's a passion. I don't think, any owner of any business, I think if you talk to really successful people, they're passionate about what they're doing. They do it for free. Mm-hmm. They probably were doing it for free because it was not paying the bills, right?
Yeah.
So they're honing their skills, and I've spent tens of thousands of dollars over the last 20 years almost in personal development and understanding different businesses, reading books by people who I can't stand, but they're successful in their field. I want to know what makes them tick, right? So Krav Maga makes sense. I'm very proud to tell you that the first African American owned Krav Maga school on the planet is mine.
Okay.
There's only 3. I know the other 2 owners. One's in New York, one's in Alaska.
Alaska. Okay.
Yeah, in Anchorage, Alaska. A kid named Corey Davis owns it. And Corey, incidentally, completely separate to this, I've known Corey since Corey was 5. Oh. I used to live in Alaska, and when our families lived in the same like apartment duplex.
Yeah.
And they lived downstairs. We lived upstairs, and I've known his family, his mother.
Are you close in age to Corey?
I'm a little bit older than Corey. I think I'm like maybe 3 or 4 years older than Corey.
So when you were young, so it's not like he was like a 5-year-old and you were.
No, I was like 10. I was like maybe 8 or 9 years old, and he was like 5.
And then was there any affiliation throughout the?
No. So once I left Alaska, I traveled all over the place. But then, coincidentally, he also owned a Krav Maga school. Got involved in another organization. I know some of the players in his organization. Shout out to Corey, by the way.
Yeah.
Right? Shout out to Corey. But Corey's a good, dear friend of mine. Someone who he called me and asked me about the business side of it. Said,
"How can I?" He knew you was in it. He knew you were in it.
I think after. Well, he put 2 and 2 together, right? He put 2 and 2 together after social media, Facebook and everything. He's always seen me doing Krav Maga, and his doing Krav Maga in another organization. I know his instructors, right? And he called me one day and was like, "Hey, I'm doing Krav Maga in Alaska." And he's talking to me about some of the business things, and I told him some of the things that I learned about the business. I've made every mistake you could possibly make in the business. So
yeah. What is your vision in the space now? Like for your business? What do you want to happen? You've owned it since 2008. Now, what does the next 10 years look like for you?
Right. So there's always the temptation to expand and open multiple locations.
Why don't you tap into that?
No, it's one of the things. We used to have another location. When I had a business partner back in the day, I don't have any business partners anymore. I thought that was rushed, and we did it too early then.
So you did open up a second one at that time?
Yeah, but the problem is that you can put on a calendar, if you take a 30-day period or a 60-day period and mark on a calendar the days we make money and the days that we don't, is the days that I'm in the room. I can only be in one place at one time.
Yeah.
So we had not at that time developed enough of a business sense, right, to do that. So now we're looking at other locations. I've got multiple instructors now, people I know can run the business. So we're looking at that.
I'm trying to understand because I'm trying to understand the model. This is a business show.
Right.
So I'm trying to understand the model. Is it a monthly reoccurring model?
That's the best model, but there's also people paying full. But the best model is monthly reoccurring.
So is your school monthly reoccurring? Mm-hmm. So how does it? What's the difference between you being in the room versus John being in the room?
It's closing people.
So you were better at sales.
I am always closing, always be closing.
Always ABC, right?
Always be closing.
So you were better at sales, and then the other people were more just showing structures?
Because the reality, well, yeah, the other people are just teaching, but the reality of it is they're not going to sell it with the passion. They're not going to be able to answer the questions that you need to ask, and also how to weed out the people who are not my perfect client. I spend very little time speaking to people who aren't my perfect client. Very little time. I've been doing this too long.
And
so
who's an example of your perfect client?
Perfect client is a person, male or female, that probably somewhere between their mid-20s or mid-20s, 26 years old to about 44 years old in our genre. You know, their average income is between 65 to 1,000 and up, 65,000 and up, and they have about, I would say, 3 to 7 hours of free time during a week.
Gotcha.
That's
Gotcha.
it.
And then is it typically people who had, you know, some type of challenge in the past where they have some type of attack, you know, rape victims, things of that nature?
So there's some of that, but most of the challenges that people have been the other luggage that people have dropped off on their doorstep, the shit that people have told them, you know,
what could happen?
Their inadequacies. No, like the parents didn't support. I have so many 30-year-old men crying them, you know, say, Coach, my mom and dad never supported me when I wanted to do this and this and this and this, and it impacted their lives.
Yeah.
I was told I was too fat, I was too small, too short, too black, not black enough, like all these other things, and it's like now they're coming to me saying, hey, can you teach me how to fight for me?
Yeah.
So I always say, I have a saying, we're all fighting something. We're all fighting something, and it could be something in its physical form, but most of the time it's in here and it's up here. So once you break that down, they're fighting themselves, and once we teach them that they're worth, A, you're worth fighting for.
Yeah.
You're worth the effort, right? Like that's the thing. You're worth it. And then B, we have a mechanism in which you can do that, and multiple systems to try to do that. They love it. And then there's me and the other instructors there cracking a whip and holding them to a standard, and helping them hit their marks.
Do people drop off early? And I'm thinking of, like, you know, people going through your class based on what you're telling me.
Yeah.
You know, getting sprayed with faux pepper spray and you lost your arm in this exam.
Yeah.
Are people dropping off early where it's like, it looked cool, but it's not for me?
Yeah, some people, it's just like anything else, man. It's human nature.
Yeah.
The pull of the past is the strongest gravitational force in the world.
Ooh, that's a quote. The pull of the past is the strongest gravitational pull.
Yeah, like it's easy to go backwards.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's easy to stay on the couch and be fat. It's easy to stay on the couch and watch TV. Or you have someone in your life. Most of the time it's someone in their life with the disease of me, and it's infecting them. Gonna call me, text me, spend time with me. What about me? What about me, me, me? And they're so scared to lose that person, they won't find out who they are. And I always tell them, especially with my fighters, I have a phrase, F your love. And they're like, what do you mean? I don't care if you're in love with that girl. You want to be a fighter, you act like a goddamn fighter. You tell me you're going to be here training, you better be here training. F your love. If your woman doesn't understand that you want to be a fighter, then you need another woman. Get rid of her, because she's standing in the way of you and your dreams.
There's this guy from Shark Tank. What's it? Mr. Wonderful. Are you familiar?
Very vaguely. I watch much TV.
Shark Tank.
I know the concept of the show. Yeah.
So one of the sharks on there, he was doing a presentation at a school.
Yeah.
And then the one of the students in the back, he's like, hey, Mr. Wonderful, I have a question for you. You know, like, after you presented today, this is awesome, but look, here's my circumstance. I have my fiance, and she's telling me it's the business or me.
Right.
And then the guy, you know,
Bye.
He's over here telling her, like, so what are you gonna do? He's like, I don't know what to do. He said, well, what's your business? It's a software company. They're doing $5 million a year right now. And then he tells the fiance, like, hey, yo, which one's easier to lose? Which one's easier to regain? A company or the fiance?
Let me tell you something. Forget the $5 million. But as men, this is something for men and for women and people who are alpha personalities. If you go out and conquer the world, you can have your pick of whoever the hell you want. So don't poke your dreams. You penetrate your dreams. Just like my punch. I don't poke you when I punch you. I penetrate your soul, right? Like when I punch something or punch someone, I expect to see them drop. I expect to see them collapse. I expect to see their soul go away. Same thing with business. I don't have time to mess around. Like, it's me. Like, I have a family to feed. So anybody that's in your life that isn't fully supportive of what you're trying to do, or they're going to give you an ultimatum, you pick your dream or you pick me, goodbye. Goodbye. Like, and it's not even, that's the eject button right now. Because you can get, especially, listen, guys are driven. We're all driven by but money, power, fame, success. If you have one of those 4 things, you will get anyone you want. You have 2 of them, you're a superstar. If you have 3, you're a demigod. If you have 4, you're
not
invincible.
You're not human.
Yeah. So chase your dreams. Like I started this company. I lost everything before my other company. You talking about the 2008? Everything crashed, man, in real estate. I woke up literally one day, and every bank that I did business with was gone.
Yeah.
Like voicemail, gone.
Yeah.
And we had houses in escrow, and nobody knew what was going on. It crashed. I started my company, what would become this company, with the last $400 in my pocket that I had. And we're bankrupt. We're completely bankrupt. And within 8 months, I had a company that was in the black. Right? Now, I had a business partner at the time. That didn't work out. So I had just so happened to have a millionaire client who I called and said, hey, I need some money. I need to start my own. Because I had BK. I couldn't go to the bank and get any money at that time. My credit was shot. It's great now, but it was shot then. I said, hey man, I need some money. He said, for what? I said, I'm stepping on my own. I'm going to do my own gym without my partner. He said, good. How much money do you need? I'm like 80 grand. And he goes, okay, I'm at Starbucks. I'll bring you a cashier's check in about an hour. And 45 minutes later, he was there with a cashier's check, handed it to me, and walked out.
Was he a Krav Maga client?
He was a student of mine, yeah. He was a student of mine. And
did he get unlimited coaching?
He got whatever he wanted. No, but more importantly, what he was there for me, you know, and he never asked me to sign a piece of paper. I never had to sign a contract, nothing. It was based on my word and my word only, and I paid him back like 13 months. I paid him back, and the rest is history. So it wasn't easy, you know. My wife was pregnant with our twins at that time.
Oh, shoot.
So people always asking me, were you stressed out? I'm like, I didn't have time to be stressed out. I got to eat.
Yeah.
I can't, there's no failure. So I'm a big believer in the warrior lifestyle. Burn your boats, man. You burn your boats.
100%.
And you can't be around people who are negative and don't get it, and those people who haven't put in the work that you put in.
Yeah.
I'll expect them to know shit, right?
I see that happening with like a lot of people who win when they burn their boats and when they burn their ships. You know, the opportunity to retreat.
Yeah.
Like when entrepreneurs start a business and they have a job and they're trying to make it both work. If you go 100%, I've seen it. When you go 100%, you win.
Now there's preparation that you have to do that. I always try to caution people, because people come up to me like, tell me how to start my own business. What's the first thing I need to know? I'm like, all right, listen. Before we have any conversation, I need you to take a week or 2 days and read this book. And slide in the book.
What book is it?
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Okay.
And I've bought that book for people at Christmas time. And if they read that book, I'm like, cool. Now read this book, Think and Grow Rich. Now we can have a conversation, because now your mind is open.
Yeah.
Well, everybody wants to have $1 million in their pocket.
Yeah.
But listen, I'm in a business where there are very few $1 million schools.
Yeah.
Very few. The average martial arts school has about 40 students. The average martial arts school is a part-time thing, about 40 students, and they're barely covering, they're not. But I also know some of the top gym owners in the world who are doing it right way. Those people who are, I'm glad to call them my mentors and my friends. I look up to them, and I can call them and ask them for advice and do all those things. The best thing that ever happened to me is when Lloyd Irvin, shout out to Master Lloyd Irvin. Lloyd Irvin changed my life from a business standpoint. This guy, it's the craziest thing. I don't know how much time it was the craziest thing. It was a business seminar, okay? And
we have
how much time? 1 minute?
1 minute.
All right. So anyway, I went to this business seminar in Orlando. There were a bunch of other guys there that also run schools, very famous guys. If I said their names, everyone would know them in MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, tons of guys. I'm the only non-BJJ MMA guy there at the time. I just do KRAV. Lloyd Irvin's on stage. He says, hey, come up here. Let me see your business plan. And nobody wanted to do it, so I showed him. I came up here because mine, and my school was already open.
So this was a document you showed him?
Kind of like a list.
Okay.
But he had this list on the board of all this shit. Like, if you're doing this, you're doing it wrong. If you're doing this, and I'm doing like 10 out of the 12 things like on the board. I'm like sitting lower and lower in my chair, like fuck, like this is gonna be bad.
Yeah.
So, but then the best thing he ever did was he said, all right, you're a Krav Maga guy? Like, yeah. You're a black belt? Yeah. He goes, I'll tell you what. He says, I'll buy your Krav Maga black belt from you for $100,000. And he breaks out his checkbook. I'm like, I tell him no. And he says, $1 million. So no, now like there's a few thousand people in this room. You gotta understand, there's thousands of people in the room. We're in this big hotel in Orlando.
Yeah.
And Lloyd says, Master Lloyd says, he will tell you this concept. He says, you see the problem with this fucking guy right here? And I'm like, what are you talking about? He slams his checkbook. He goes, you see the problem? He's got the problem. You guys all have the same problem. He said, look at your website. He brought my website on the thing. He says, I see that you have a $99 membership and you can train all day long for 99 bucks. I'm like, yeah, all in? Yeah, that's it? You don't have an upsell? No. You don't have nothing else they can buy from you? I'm like, well, they can buy clothes, t-shirts. Oh, that's cool, but 99 bucks. He said, you wouldn't sell me your black belt for $1 million, but you fucking give it away for 99 bucks a month. Are you out of your fucking mind? And at that moment, I was like, oh, shit. Like, it crystallized for me in that moment. He said, you're an expert. You have devoted your life to your art and your style of what you do. There's no one else in Nevada that even outranks you or even come close. What are you doing? Mm-hmm. You don't value yourself? And I'm like, well, I thought everyone else was charging $100 around me, so I should do it too. He said, don't base your pricing off of what your competitors are doing. Base it off of the value that you provide and the uniqueness that you provide. Best lesson I ever learned. That was the best business lesson I ever learned. I went there, and this was post me having my partner.
Is that dude specifically training for Krav Maga schools?
So Master Lloyd Irvin is one of the top Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructors in the world.
Okay, so he's in the space.
He's in the space.
Okay,
but his wife is a real estate superstar.
Okay.
Mrs. Irvin, right? Superstar. And there's a guy named Dan Kennedy. You know Dan Kennedy, the sales.
The marketer?
Marketer.
Yeah.
So Master Irvin basically took Dan Kennedy's marketing and made it for a blueprint for MMA and BJJ schools.
Got it. Okay.
And then taught seminars, because there's a space there. There's no training for a BJJ guy, MMA guy, or whatever to go, how do I open a school and run it profitably?
Yeah.
Like, how do I get clients?
So post that seminar, did you end up coming out with upsells and back-end products?
Are you kidding me? Before I was on the phone in Orlando and called my wife and was like, change this now.
What was like the number one thing that the
first thing that we changed is that we put 30 days free. That was our big thing. 30 days free on the thing was our unique USP. 30 days free.
Your unique selling proposition.
Yeah. You can come and train for 30 days.
So it wasn't 99 bucks anymore.
No, we took the 99 bucks down and put 30 days free.
So you'd rather give it away for free than 99 bucks?
Oh, that was to get those were getting more asses in the seats.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
And then what was the upsell after that?
So the upsell was then we had multiple tiered program. For 99 bucks you got this, for 120 you got this, but for 170 you got everything.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
So we split it. So it made me think about the program, think about my curriculum, how I changed everything. Because remember, I was just doing Krav Maga at that time.
Yeah.
So even though I had other experience and other stuff that I was giving away for free.
Yeah.
Right? So then it became clear to me that we needed to develop a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu program. I don't have time to go and study Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in a way that would do it justice to teach it. I didn't want to cheat it. So I hired Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructors. And now we have I'll take our BJJ coaches against anyone in the world.
So now understanding this, where does you're changing the name soon? Are you allowed to say what it is?
Yeah. It's Las Vegas Combat Academy.
Las Vegas Combat Academy.
Yeah.
So you changed the name. You know, let's look at 2031.
Yeah.
What does that look like for you? Because it seems like you have not only the martial art experience for running the business, but also personal development, where you think Grow Rich talks about, Mr. Carnegie and how he built his business and so forth.
Yeah.
So what does 2031 looks like for you?
Well, so what I'm interested in is the next wave of MMA fighters and its impact on society. Meaning that there are kids now watching MMA, training in MMA, who've only grown up doing MMA.
Okay.
When I was young, you had to go to a boxing coach for boxing, wrestling coach for wrestling, and maybe you had a karate guy.
So is mixed martial arts all of them combined?
All of it.
Okay.
Mixed martial arts, true mixed martial arts should be all of it.
Okay.
But then MMA is also a standalone thing.
Okay.
Right? Because there's the sport of MMA. The things that Dana's done. People can hate Dana all they want. Without Dana's vision and the Fertitas and all those, it wouldn't be where it is today.
Yeah.
So people are like, oh, Dana, I have nothing negative to say about the guy.
Yeah.
I love him. Right?
Yeah.
So
he made it happen with UFC.
Bro, like the guy is the reason why he took a bankrupt company and turned it into what it is today.
Yeah.
To hate on someone like that who's had that kind of track record is ignorant.
Yeah.
You may not like it because your favorite fighter can't wear his shirt with all his bullshit on it.
Yeah.
But that's irrelevant. That has nothing to do with it. He has to do what he has to do for the business. So
So what does that really look like in 2031? The business. What is
So the business looks. So I think the business continues to grow. I like I mentioned before. It's akin to firearms, right? So when the economy is good, people buy firearms. When the economy is bad, people buy firearms. People are always going to want to be in shape. They're always going to want to look to be able to protect themselves. They're always going to want to provide protection for their family and their kids, an outlet for their kids. So those things aren't going to go away. I think the passion for MMA will continue to grow. The understanding for MMA will continue to grow, and the need for good gyms will always be there. So I think we have a built-in customer base for a long time.
Powerful. And how could our viewers reach out to you?
Yeah, they can hit us at LasVegasKravMaga.com. We're at 702-586-5728 is the phone number. That's 586-KRAV. Another thing, I learned from Lloyd Irvin. Oh, I changed that too. There. The Lloyd Irvin thing. Immediately the phone number.
The phone number?
KRAV, yeah.
Yeah.
So it made sense, right? I was like, I could pick my own phone number? That's weird, right?
Yeah.
So did that. But yeah, no, they can reach us there. Hit us up on Facebook, same thing, Las Vegas Krav Maga. We're very interactive on Facebook, even with the haters. I love the haters, by the way, because they talk shit and I'll respond to them. And they're like, oh yeah,
I wasn't expecting.
I'll holler at
Man,
you.
they have to change their profile image, man, because they don't want to. I don't want them to see me in the streets.
No, listen, I'm good. I'm as friendly as all get out. But we get people who go, oh, Krav Maga sucks, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, all right, well, come holler at us on Saturday. We spar on Saturday at 11 o'clock. So if you feel some kind of way, come. And they never show up.
You never show up.
Nah.
Well, Donavan, thank you so much for being on the show,
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
And if you're in a space where you're interested in learning Krav Maga, or you're interested in learning how to fight, or just, experiencing his 30-day free trial, go to his site as well as give him a call. Once again, thank you for being on the show on the Business Owner Spotlight.
Tune in every week to discover new stories, new businesses, and new ideas.